Hi, I'm Justin Hodge, and today we're going to talk about strategies for social workers to engage in policy advocacy. Social workers have been engaged in policy and politics since the inception of the field. Traditionally now, the activities social workers do to engage in policy advocacy can be broken down into 5 different categories, and we're going to take a look at each of those in this lecture. The first 2 involve influencing which candidates run for elected office and affecting those candidates' agendas. They also work on campaigns, either in opposition to a candidate or a ballot initiative or referenda. Social workers, consistent with the NASW Code of Ethics, also work to increase the political power of underrepresented, oppressed, or groups in poverty. They also hold professional policy appointments as well as political appointments. And some social workers even run for office themselves. Next, we're going to take a look at ways in which you can engage in policy advocacy regardless of your workplace. We're going to start off by looking at a case study of someone working in a micro-social workplace. So this is just one kind of example. A clinical social worker working at a community mental health agency has to inform several families on his caseload that their services must be terminated due to cuts to the agency's general fund by the state legislature. The social worker attempts to refer his patients to other agencies and to provide practices. A family of 4 receiving case management and psychotherapy services has a household income just above the Medicaid cutoff and cannot afford comparable services elsewhere. While this might not seem like a policy problem, this is frequently something that you will encounter in a social workplace, particularly community mental health agencies. Community mental health agencies are largely governed by policy at different levels of government. Many community mental health agencies are county level services. So that would be under the purview of county commissions, and then they receive a lot of their funding from the state legislature as well. In this kind of situation, reflect on how you might, as the social worker in this case study, attempt to assist this family. As we think about that case study and other situations in which social workers in a micro setting want to assist their constituents or their patients with advocating, expanding the power of those clients and constituencies is the category that would be most likely used. Examples of this would include direct voter education, so that would be providing education about upcoming elections. Many people aren't even aware of when an election is going to take place because they can take place in November or August or even May, or it could differ depending on your location. Social workers also could assist with voter registration. They're not engaging in any kind of partisan activity by assisting their patients or their clients in registering to vote. And research has shown that voters are better represented by their elected officials than non-voters. Social workers can also assist their patients in participating in leadership roles, such as providing them information about advisory boards or commissions that they could be appointed to. That way they can have a direct impact on their local community. Now we're going to shift to taking a look at a social work case study in a macro setting. A community organizer arranged a town hall to discuss challenges facing a small city that has seen an exodus of manufacturing jobs. Many newly unemployed residents did not have other training that prepares them for other kinds of jobs. A working class white male struggling to find permanent employment speaks up about feeling disenfranchised by both major political parties and the governmental and societal structures in his life. In this kind of situation, how should the social worker respond? This is a very real problem, one that was very common in the last presidential election. Social workers in a macro setting can still work to expand political power of underrepresented clients, just as social workers in a micro setting can. Where it would differ from social workers in a micro setting, rather than direct education one-on-one with clients or patients, you might run an education drive or a rally to provide education on a particular issue. You could also run a voter registration drive to try to engage people on a bigger scale and get many more people registered to vote. This could take place on college campuses, for example. Many students leave their homes to go to college elsewhere and don't go home to vote and then just end up not voting. You could also engage in voter outreach to underrepresented groups. Now we're going to take a look at options for engaging public officials. To make any kind of difference in a policy discussion, you need to know who your elected and appointed officials are. This slide contains a URL for viewers in Michigan to figure out all of their voting information. Yet every state and other locations around the world will have similar information. There are several methods to make your voice heard. You can attend public meetings. Many elected and appointed officials will hold public meetings at libraries or other community locations. To engage with an elected or appointed official in a more one-on-one setting, you could attend one of their coffee hours or other small forums that they hold. You could also call their office on the phone. This is very effective, as when you call a legislator's office, and even if you leave a message, they have to hear it, or their staff person will have to hear it. So that's still an effective way to get your message across. You can also submit policy opinion pieces. This could be a policy brief or a policy memo. Now we're going to take a look at the remaining categories that we discussed earlier for activism and engagement. Social workers influence candidates that run for elected office and their agendas. They do this by drawing attention to particular problems, whether that's gun issues, healthcare. Social workers can arrange rallies or other large public events to draw attention to particular policy issues. Social workers can also adjust or change the priorities of a political party by volunteering or becoming a member of the leadership. Political parties exist at a variety of levels, whether it's at the national level or state, congressional districts, down to even county or club level. Connecting with interest groups, such as the National Association of Social Workers, is also an excellent way to connect with groups of people that share a policy opinion. Our next category is to work directly on a campaign, whether in favor or against a particular candidate or a ballot initiative. This is where social work community organizing skills, such as forming coalitions and engaging community members, is especially important. Social workers are uniquely positioned here because they understand group dynamics and they understand how that affects policy and political issues. Social workers can hold political appointments themselves as well, whether that's an appointment to chair a certain department or as an appointed official within a community on a board or commission. Social workers in this role are very political, and they're able to directly influence policy by writing it themselves or having an influence on the decision maker that does that. They can also have a role in a high-ranking position on a campaign where they engage with a candidate or elected officials frequently in a one-on-one setting. Studies have shown that a variety of social work skills have been very helpful for social workers that want to campaign or hold office. The most effective skills are those that are typically identified as micro skills. Many social workers that work in a clinical setting typically don't think they have the tools to run for office or to engage in policy, which is contrary to the evidence that shows that micro skills are those that are typically most helpful for running for office. So those interpersonal skills include effective communication, active listening. You need both of those when you engage with clients as well as constituents. A study in 2011 showed that there are at least 467 social workers that have run for local, state, or federal office in the United States. Social workers that are elected to office most frequently serve in local government positions, on commissions, councils, and boards. Research has shown that social workers are typically suited for working at this local level of government because many of the social services that our constituents and that many social work clients receive come from this level. And social workers are best equipped to provide those services and to dictate the budget for those services because we have on-the-ground training for that. Now that you have looked at all of these different ways in which social workers frequently engage in policy and politics, reflect on which option is best suited for you and look for opportunities in your community to engage.